Ladies and gentlemen, imagine for a moment that your thoughts today are designing your tomorrow. Think about it. Every belief, every emotion, every mental picture you hold is literally shaping your reality. Science now proves that your mind isn't just observing your life, it's creating it. So let me ask you, are you waking up each day creating the same predictable future, or are you daring to create a new one? Because today I want to show you how you can rewire your brain, recondition your body, and unlock the extraordinary potential that has always been inside you. Your thoughts create your reality, and this is not just a poetic or motivational phrase. It is a scientific truth, a spiritual principle, and a life transforming realization that has the power to change everything about the way you live. Every single thought that passes through your mind is like an electrical signal sent out into the universe. And every emotion that accompanies that thought is like the magnetic force that draws experience back to you. The combination of what you think and what you feel becomes the vibration you radiate, and that vibration is constantly shaping the world around you, whether you are conscious of it or not. Think about this carefully. The life you are living today is not a random accident. It is the result of the thoughts you repeatedly entertained yesterday, last week, last month, and last year. You have been rehearsing your future by replaying the same inner dialogue, the same images, the same fears, and the same doubts. And what happens when you think the same thoughts over and over? They become beliefs. Those beliefs settle into your subconscious, and your subconscious becomes the autopilot that governs how you act, how you feel, how you speak, and what you expect from life. When you wake up in the morning and you immediately start thinking about the problems from yesterday, you are instructing your brain to create the exact same reality again. Your brain does not know the difference between an actual experience and one you are vividly imagining. It fires the same neural networks either way. So when you replay the stress, the disappointment, the frustration, or the fear of yesterday, your body begins to feel like it is still living in yesterday, and before you know it, your body and mind are no longer in the present moment. They are stuck in the past. And when your body and mind are stuck in the past, your future can only be a predictable repetition of what has already been. You are no longer creating, you are recycling. But when you begin to understand that your thoughts are not simply passing clouds in the sky of your mind, but rather instructions to your brain and signals to your body, you awaken to the power you have always had. You realize that if your current thoughts are capable of keeping you trapped in old cycles, then new thoughts can liberate you into new realities. The first step is becoming conscious of what you think about all day long. Most people live as though their thoughts are random, automatic, and powerless, but in truth, they are the most creative force you possess. If you fill your inner world with thoughts of limitation, lack, and fear, your outer world will reflect limitation, lack, and fear. If you discipline your mind to focus on possibilities, gratitude, and vision, then your external reality will begin to bend in that direction. This is why great teachers and scientists alike have emphasized the same principle in different languages. As you think, so you become. It is not enough to simply want change with your words. You must align your thoughts and feelings with the future you desire. Your brain is like fertile soil, and your thoughts are the seeds. If you keep planting the same seeds, you will keep reaping the same harvest. If you dare to plant new ones, nurture them with belief, and water them with gratitude, eventually a new garden of experience will bloom in your life. Your thoughts are designing the blueprint of your destiny. Every time you think a thought, you are making a choice about the future you will experience. The question is, are you choosing unconsciously and recreating your past, or are you choosing consciously and creating something extraordinary? Familiar emotions keep you stuck, and this is one of the most powerful but often overlooked truths about human behavior and transformation. We live most of our lives unconsciously addicted to certain emotional states, almost like habits we don't even realize we have. Think about it when you wake up in the morning. Your body remembers yesterday better than your mind does. If yesterday you were stressed about money, worried about work, or hurt in a relationship, your body has memorized those emotions, and as soon as you open your eyes, you unconsciously return to them. You begin to feel the same stress, the same anger, the same sadness, or the same doubt, and those feelings then drive your thinking. You start thinking the same kinds of thoughts that match the way you feel, and this cycle locks you into the past. This is the trap. When you live by the same emotions every single day, your body becomes conditioned to them and it begins to crave them. The body starts to expect stress in order to feel normal. It expects disappointment in order to feel safe. It expects worry in order to feel familiar. So even when life is quiet, even when there is no reason to be anxious or upset, your body will push you to create situations or thoughts that bring those familiar emotions back. Why? Because the body wants what is familiar, even if it's destructive. This is why people stay in toxic relationships, why they sabotage opportunities, why they cling to habits they know are harmful. It's because the emotion attached to those situations has become a comfort zone. We must understand that emotions are powerful signals. They don't just pass through you, they anchor you to a particular timeline. Fear, anger, resentment, guilt, or doubt. All of these emotions tell your brain to keep firing the same neural pathways. And the more you fire those pathways, the more you wire them. That means your identity itself becomes wrapped up in these emotions. People even start to say things like, "This is just who I am," or "I can't help it," because their sense of self has been built around an emotional state they've repeated for years. The problem is, as long as you keep living in these familiar emotions, you cannot move into a new future. Your future requires new energy, new patterns, and new emotional states that match the reality you want to create. Here's the challenge: most people say they want to change their lives, but they are unwilling to change their emotions. They want a better future, but they still live in the energy of their past. They want success while feeling unworthy. They want love while feeling insecure. They want abundance while feeling lack. They want health while feeling stress. But you cannot create a new reality while carrying the emotional baggage of the old one. The universe does not respond to your words. It responds to the vibration you consistently live in, and that vibration is made up of your emotions. If you want to step into a new future, you must break the addiction to familiar emotions. That means you must become greater than your body's programming. It requires the courage to step into the unknown, to sit in meditation or stillness, and refuse to return to the emotional state that your body craves. At first, it feels uncomfortable because your body will protest. It will try to pull you back into the familiar stress or anger or fear. It will whisper, "This is who you are." But if you persist, if you keep observing the emotion without feeding it, if you keep choosing a new thought and a new feeling, you begin to break free. Imagine the power of replacing your familiar emotions with elevated ones. Instead of living in stress, you train yourself to live in calm. Instead of dwelling in fear, you anchor yourself in trust. Instead of repeating doubt, you cultivate confidence. Instead of entertaining resentment, you choose forgiveness. These elevated emotions not only feel better, but they also signal to your body and brain that you are stepping into a new reality. They send out a new vibration into the field around you, and the field begins to mirror that back to you in the form of new opportunities, new synchronicities, and new possibilities. So the next time you feel yourself slipping into the familiar emotional state of stress, worry, or doubt, stop and recognize what is happening. Don't see it as weakness. See it as a moment of awakening. It is your body's way of showing you the program that has been running your life. In that moment, you have a choice: go back to the familiar and relive your past, or step into the unfamiliar and create your future. And the more you choose the unfamiliar, the more natural it becomes, until one day you wake up and realize you are no longer the person you used to be. You are no longer a prisoner of familiar emotions. You are free. Change begins with awareness, and this is the doorway through which all transformation must pass. Without awareness, we remain unconscious, and when we are unconscious, we simply repeat the past over and over again, expecting somehow to wake up in a different future. But how can anything truly shift if we do not first bring light to the very patterns that have been controlling us? Most people live their lives in a kind of autopilot state, where 90 to 95% of their thoughts are the same as the day before. Their emotions are recycled, their reactions are predictable, and their behaviors follow the same script. They wake up, check their phone, feel the same worries, rush through the same routine, drive the same route, talk to the same people about the same problems, and end the day replaying the same memories before drifting off to sleep. And then they wonder why nothing new shows up in their lives. It is because they are not truly awake. They are running on a program. Awareness is the act of stepping outside of that program and saying, wait a moment. Why am I thinking this? Why am I feeling this? Why am I doing this? It is like suddenly turning on the light in a dark room and realizing you have been walking in circles. When you become aware of your thoughts, you stop being enslaved by them. When you become aware of your emotions, you stop confusing them with your identity. When you become aware of your habits, you give yourself the power to choose differently. Awareness does not mean you change everything instantly. It means you finally see clearly, and seeing clearly is the first step to freedom. Consider this: a person cannot heal what they refuse to acknowledge. If someone keeps repeating the same negative story about why they are unlucky, why people always hurt them, why life is unfair, and they are not even aware that they are telling this story, they will live inside it forever. But the moment they become aware, I am telling this story. I am speaking limitation into existence. I am rehearsing my pain as if it is my only truth. Then a window opens. Awareness breaks the spell. Suddenly, you are no longer just the character in the story, you are the author. And as the author, you have the ability to write a different chapter. Awareness is also uncomfortable because it forces you to confront the fact that much of your suffering has not been caused solely by the world around you, but also by the inner world you have been feeding. It reveals that your stress, anger, jealousy, or self-doubt are not just reactions to circumstances, but choices you have been unconsciously making every day. Many people resist this truth because it feels easier to blame others, to blame fate, to blame the world. But true freedom begins when you say, if my thoughts and emotions have created this version of my life, then my new thoughts and emotions can create another. That realization is awareness in action. When you observe yourself honestly, without judgment, but with deep curiosity, you begin to catch the programs in real time. You notice that you always feel defensive when someone criticizes you. You notice that you always feel unworthy when someone compliments you. You notice that you always procrastinate when faced with opportunity. These patterns are not who you truly are. They are simply learned responses, repeated so often that they became automatic. But when you shine awareness on them, you create a space between stimulus and response, and in that space lies the power to choose a new response. That is where transformation is born. Awareness also means becoming conscious of your body. Notice how your shoulders tense when you are stressed, how your breath shortens when you are afraid, how your stomach tightens when you feel guilty. Your body has been conditioned to carry the weight of old emotions. If you are unaware, you live in that tension every day, and it silently dictates your mood, your thoughts, and your choices. But when you become aware, you can pause, breathe deeply, release the tension, and tell your body, we are no longer living in that old story. We are free now. This shift, repeated again and again, rewires the relationship between your mind and body. Think of awareness as the flashlight of consciousness. Without it, you stumble blindly, repeating the past. With it, you illuminate the hidden corners of your mind and reveal what has been controlling you. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. That is why awareness is so powerful. It is irreversible. A person who has truly become aware can never fully go back to unconscious living because the light of truth has already been switched on. And so change begins with awareness because awareness is the birthplace of choice. You cannot choose differently if you do not even know what you are choosing now. You cannot create a new future if you are not aware of how you are unconsciously recreating the past. But once you are aware, even if it is uncomfortable, even if it challenges your ego, even if it forces you to admit things you would rather avoid, you step into the realm of possibility. You step into the power of deliberate creation. You are no longer just a victim of circumstance. You are the conscious architect of your life. The body doesn't know the difference between an actual experience and one that you vividly imagine, and this single truth has the power to radically transform the way you approach your life. Science has shown us again and again that when you imagine an experience with enough clarity and emotional intensity, your brain and body react as if it is happening right now. Neurons fire, hormones release, chemicals flood your system, and networks in your brain begin wiring together. If you rehearse this mental picture long enough, the body begins to memorize it as though you have already lived it. This means that the inner world you create in your mind can become just as real to your body as the outer world you walk through every day. Think about an athlete preparing for a race. Even when they are not physically on the track, when they close their eyes and visualize the run, feeling their muscles move, hearing the crowd, seeing the finish line, their brain lights up in the same regions as if they were actually running. The body begins to prime itself for the performance, the muscles remember, the nervous system prepares, and by the time they are physically on the track, the body already knows what to do. They have rehearsed the future so vividly that the body cannot tell the difference between what was imagined and what was real. If this is possible for athletes, it is possible for all of us in every area of life. Now let's bring this closer to our daily reality. If you constantly imagine worst-case scenarios, if you play out arguments that haven't happened, if you rehearse failure, rejection, or loss, your body reacts to those images as if they are happening now. Stress hormones are released, your heart rate rises, your immune system weakens, and your body begins to break down, all because your mind is feeding it signals of danger that may not even exist outside of your imagination. You could be sitting safely at home, yet your body is living in a battlefield created entirely in your mind. This is why people who live in worry or fear experience exhaustion, illness, and anxiety. Their bodies have been tricked into believing the nightmare is real. But here is the liberating truth: if your body responds this way to negative imagined experiences, then it will also respond the same way to positive ones. If you can rehearse failure, you can just as easily rehearse success. If you can imagine loss, you can imagine abundance. If you can relive pain, you can also relive joy. When you sit down, close your eyes, and vividly picture the future you desire, whether it's walking into your dream job, holding the keys to a new home, embracing the love of your life, or standing on a stage sharing your gift with the world, your body begins to experience that reality before it physically happens. Your heart opens, your brain fires new circuits, your chemistry shifts, and your energy rises. Do this often enough, and your body begins to memorize the future before it even arrives. This is why so many great visionaries, leaders, and creators emphasize the power of imagination. They know that when you live the experience in your mind and pair it with elevated emotion, you condition your body to believe that the future is already unfolding. And once your body believes, your actions, your habits, your decisions, and your energy align with that future. You begin to see opportunities you would have otherwise missed because your body is no longer trapped in the past, it is primed for what is coming. It's important to understand that the key lies in the emotion. A thought without an emotion is just an idea, but a thought with an emotion becomes an experience. Your body doesn't respond to words, it responds to feelings. If you imagine your future with doubt, worry, or indifference, your body will not shift. But if you imagine it with joy, gratitude, and excitement, your body feels as though it is already living it. That emotional state becomes the magnet that draws that reality closer to you. Gratitude is especially powerful because when you feel grateful for something that hasn't happened yet, your body experiences it as though it already has, and you begin to live in the energy of fulfillment instead of lack. Every time you repeat this practice, you strengthen the neural pathways in your brain and the cellular memory in your body. Just like lifting weights builds muscles, rehearsing your future with emotion builds the inner strength to manifest it. Over time, you train your body to feel more comfortable in the energy of your future than in the emotions of your past. And once that shift happens, the old you begins to fade. The identity that was attached to stress, fear, and limitation dissolves, and a new identity, one aligned with your vision, emerges. So the next time you catch yourself reliving a painful memory or rehearsing failure, pause and remember this truth: your body cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is imagined. Do not waste that power feeding a past you want to escape from. Use it to create the future you long for. Sit with it every day. Picture it in detail. Feel it as though it has already happened. Live inside the energy of that vision. If you do this with consistency, your body will eventually begin to follow your mind, and reality itself will have no choice but to mirror back the future you have already rehearsed. Visualization is a rehearsal for the future, and it is one of the most powerful tools every human being possesses, yet very few truly understand its magnitude. When you visualize with intensity, with clarity, with emotional richness, you are not just daydreaming or entertaining fantasies, you are quite literally programming your brain and body to step into a new reality. Your brain, when engaged in deep visualization, doesn't sit idle. It begins firing the same neural circuits as if you were actually living the event. Neurons that fire together begin to wire together, and over time, these new connections create a new map in the brain. That map becomes the foundation for your future behavior, decisions, and experiences. In other words, visualization is not imagination without consequence. It is the rehearsal ground for the life you are about to live. Think of an actor preparing for a role. They don't just memorize lines, they embody the character. They visualize themselves speaking, moving, feeling as that character until, when the moment comes, they are no longer pretending. They are living the role. The same principle applies to your life. Every time you visualize yourself giving that speech, creating that business, healing that body, or embracing that relationship, you are embodying the character of your future self. You are giving your brain and body a script so that when the opportunity arises in real life, you are not caught off guard. You have already rehearsed it countless times in your inner theater. This is why elite performers, from athletes to musicians to entrepreneurs, have always used visualization. An Olympic runner imagines every stride before the race. A pianist imagines every note before stepping on stage. A leader imagines every word of their speech before facing the crowd. They understand that what happens in the mind prepares the body for what will happen in reality. By the time the external event takes place, their nervous system feels as though it has already been there before. It is no longer foreign, it is familiar, and familiarity breeds confidence. But visualization goes far beyond performance. It is a tool for transformation. Imagine you are someone who has lived for years with self-doubt. Every time you approach a challenge, the old voice says, "You can't do this, you will fail." That voice has been rehearsed so many times it feels automatic. Now, if you begin visualizing yourself standing tall, speaking with clarity, succeeding in your endeavors, and you attach emotion to those images, confidence, joy, gratitude, your brain begins wiring new connections. Your body begins to memorize what it feels like to be confident. Over time, the old voice loses its strength, and a new one takes its place. You are rehearsing not just a moment, but a new identity. What makes visualization so potent is the marriage of thought and feeling. If you simply think about your future without feeling it, the image remains weak. But when you combine the thought with the elevated emotion of joy, love, gratitude, or excitement, your body begins to experience it as real. The stronger the emotion, the more powerful the impression on your subconscious. This is why children often create so vividly. They imagine with their whole being, with feeling, with belief. As adults, we must relearn that same skill. Another profound aspect of visualization is that it draws the future toward you. When you repeatedly see yourself in a new reality and feel the emotions of it, you begin to send out a new electromagnetic signal into the field of possibility. You are broadcasting not the energy of your past, but the frequency of your desired future. And because like attracts like, that signal begins to attract opportunities, people, and events that align with what you have rehearsed. This is not magic, it is resonance. You become a vibrational match to the reality you have created within. Many people make the mistake of visualizing once or twice and then giving up when nothing happens immediately. They fail to realize that just as the body doesn't transform after one workout, the mind and energy field don't transform after one visualization. Repetition is the key. The more you rehearse, the deeper the impression becomes. Every session of visualization is like laying another brick in the foundation of your future. With time, the structure becomes unshakable, and life itself begins to conform to it. Imagine sitting quietly each morning, closing your eyes, and spending 10 or 15 minutes living in the world of your vision. You picture yourself healthy, vibrant, strong. You imagine yourself walking into your dream office, shaking hands, signing contracts. You see yourself surrounded by love, laughter, and connection. You imagine the gratitude you feel as if it has already happened. When you open your eyes, you carry that emotional state into your day. Suddenly, your choices shift. You speak with more confidence. You take bold steps, you radiate positivity. And because you have rehearsed the future, when an opportunity presents itself, you recognize it instantly. Where before you might have hesitated, now you step forward because your body already knows what it feels like to succeed. Visualization is not wishful thinking, it is conscious creation. It is the act of bringing the future into the present so that your body and mind align with it now. The more vivid, the more detailed, the more emotionally charged your visualization is, the more real it becomes to your nervous system. And once your inner world believes it, your outer world begins to shape itself around it. So treat visualization as your daily rehearsal. Don't simply wait for the future to happen to you. Create it first in the theater of your mind until your body believes it has already lived it. And when your body and mind are aligned with your vision, the gap between imagination and reality begins to collapse. What once felt like a dream becomes inevitable because you have rehearsed it into existence. The heart and mind must work together, because if the mind thinks one thing but the heart feels another, you create conflict inside yourself, and that conflict radiates into your life. The mind is the seat of intention, of thought, of vision, but the heart is the seat of emotion, of energy, of coherence. When these two are out of alignment, the energy you send out into the world is scattered and weak. You may say, I want success, but if deep down you feel unworthy, the signal is divided. You may affirm, I am loved, but if your heart still carries resentment or insecurity, the signal is broken. The universe doesn't respond to words alone, it responds to the harmony between thought and feeling. And that harmony is found when the heart and mind are aligned, when the mind holds an intention, perhaps the vision of a new future, the image of healing, the dream of abundance. It is like the architect drawing a blueprint. But the blueprint by itself does not build the house. The heart provides the energy, the passion, the emotional charge that gives life to that vision. If the mind is the architect, the heart is the builder. One without the other is incomplete. Too much focus on the mind alone can leave you cold, analytical, and disconnected. Too much focus on the heart without the direction of the mind can leave you emotional but unfocused. But when both work together, the blueprint and the energy, the clarity and the passion, creation becomes inevitable. Science has shown us that the heart generates the strongest electromagnetic field in the body, thousands of times stronger than the brain. This field extends several feet beyond your body, and it communicates with the world around you in ways we are only beginning to understand. When your heart is filled with elevated emotions like gratitude, love, or compassion, the field becomes coherent, smooth, and powerful. When your thoughts are aligned with those emotions, the signal is clear. You are broadcasting not chaos but order, not conflict but coherence, and coherence attracts coherence. Life begins to bring you people, opportunities, and experiences that resonate with the frequency you are emitting. Think of a time when you were truly in love or deeply grateful. Notice how alive you felt, how much energy you had, how things seemed to flow in your favor. That was coherence, the mind and heart speaking the same language. Now think of a time when your mind was saying, I want this, but your heart was filled with doubt or fear. Notice how stuck you felt, how much effort it took, how nothing seemed to work. That was incoherence, the mind and heart sending out mixed signals, weakening the field. This is why alignment is not optional if you want transformation. It is essential. The practice, then, is to not only think about what you want, but to feel it in your heart as though it is already here. If you visualize success but feel doubt, pause and shift your emotional state until it matches your vision. If you affirm health but feel fear, breathe into your heart and cultivate gratitude for the healing already happening. When you marry the thought of the mind with the emotion of the heart, you create a state of being where your whole body believes. And when your whole body believes, the energy you radiate becomes magnetic. Many people live in separation. They think one thing, feel another, and do something entirely different. This internal fragmentation drains energy and creates disorder in their lives. But the moment they bring mind and heart into union, life begins to organize itself in their favor. They no longer feel like they are pushing against the current. They feel as though the current is carrying them. This is what happens when intention and emotion become one. This alignment is also the key to healing. When a person who is sick thinks, I want to get better, but their heart is heavy with fear, the body receives two opposing signals. Healing slows. But when the mind holds the intention of health and the heart feels gratitude as if health is already present, the body receives a single, powerful, coherent message: wellness. Cells respond, the immune system strengthens, and the body begins to shift toward balance. The same is true for relationships, for success, for creativity. When the mind and heart agree, the message is received by every level of your being, and the external world reflects it back. So the invitation is simple yet profound: practice, bringing your heart and mind into harmony. Start your day not only with thoughts of what you want to create, but with the feelings that match it. Think abundance and feel gratitude. Think love and feel love. Think success and feel joy. As you do, you begin to live in coherence, and coherence is the language through which you communicate with the universe. When the heart and mind work together, there is no resistance, no fragmentation, no contradiction. There is only alignment, and alignment is power. Your energy shapes your destiny, and this is one of the most profound realizations you will ever come to in your life. Everything in the universe is energy. Your thoughts, your emotions, your words, your actions, even the very cells of your body vibrate with energy. And the energy you radiate outward is constantly interacting with the field of possibility around you. You don't attract what you simply wish for. You don't attract what you casually hope for. You attract who you are being in every moment. Your state of being is your energy, and that energy is the signal you are broadcasting into the universe. Think of it this way: every thought carries a frequency. Every feeling sends out a vibration. When you live in the energy of fear, stress, or lack, you are tuning yourself to a frequency that will keep bringing more situations that confirm those states. You may want abundance, but if you are constantly feeling lack, you are radiating lack, and the world responds accordingly. You may desire love, but if you are vibrating with insecurity or resentment, you are sending out a signal that repels the very love you long for. Life does not give you what you ask for with your lips. It gives you what you demand through your energy. This is why two people can walk into the same room and have completely different experiences. One person carrying joy and openness draws people toward them effortlessly. The other, carrying bitterness and tension, finds themselves isolated, overlooked, or misunderstood. Nothing external has changed. It is the energy they bring with them that creates the outcome. The same principle applies to opportunities. Sometimes it isn't about how skilled you are or how much you know. It's about the energy you radiate. Doors open not only for the most qualified, but for the most aligned. Your destiny is not written solely in your circumstances. It is written in your energy. Every day you are either consciously creating a future through elevated energy or unconsciously recreating the past by recycling the same emotional states. This is why so many people feel stuck. They may work hard, they may struggle, they may even pray or hope, but they have not changed their energy. They are still living in the same vibration of doubt, fear, or guilt, and that vibration continues to shape their experience. The good news is that energy can be shifted. You are not bound to live in the same emotional state forever. The moment you decide to elevate your energy, to choose gratitude over complaint, love over resentment, trust over fear, you are rewriting the course of your destiny. At first, it may feel unnatural because your body is addicted to old emotions. But as you practice shifting your energy moment by moment, it becomes your new baseline. And when your baseline is elevated, your destiny transforms. Think of gratitude. When you live in gratitude, even for small things, you begin to radiate a frequency of abundance. You stop focusing on what is missing and begin focusing on what is present. This shift in energy draws more things to be grateful for into your life. Or think of compassion. When you choose to forgive instead of holding on to anger, your energy softens, and suddenly new relationships, deeper connections, and unexpected kindness flow toward you. These are not coincidences. They are reflections of your energy. The body itself responds to energy. When you live in stress, your body remains in survival mode, preparing for danger, breaking down over time. But when you shift into elevated energy, peace, joy, love, your body moves into creation mode, healing, regenerating, strengthening. In this way, your health is also shaped by the energy you carry. You are not simply a physical being at the mercy of circumstances. You are an energetic being shaping circumstances through your vibration. So ask yourself each day, what energy am I radiating right now? Am I living in the frequency of the past, or am I embodying the energy of the future I want to create? When you begin to take responsibility for your energy, you stop being a victim of life and start becoming a creator. Life responds not to what you want, but to what you are. And when you become the living embodiment of love, joy, gratitude, and abundance, destiny cannot help but bend in your favor. Meditation rewires the brain, and this truth is deeper than most people realize. For centuries, people have treated meditation as something spiritual, mystical, or even optional. But today, science has begun to prove what the ancients always knew: meditation is not just about sitting quietly. It is about changing the very structure and functioning of your brain and body. When you close your eyes, withdraw your attention from the outer world, and bring it inward, something remarkable begins to happen. You are stepping out of the familiar programs of survival, stress, and habit, and you are entering a space where true creation can take place. The human brain is like fertile soil, constantly being programmed by repeated thoughts, emotions, and experiences. Most people live the majority of their lives in survival mode: fight, flight, or freeze. They wake up, check their phones, recall their problems, feel the same emotions of stress, fear, or frustration, and unknowingly fire and wire the same neural circuits in the brain day after day. Over time, those circuits become hardwired, and the body becomes conditioned to live in the past. Meditation is the tool that interrupts this cycle. By slowing down brainwave patterns from high beta into alpha, theta, or even delta, meditation opens the door to the subconscious mind, where true reprogramming can happen. When you sit in meditation and become aware of your breath, your heartbeat, your inner world, you begin to quiet the analytical mind, the very mind that insists on keeping things the same. This is where the magic begins. In that stillness, the brain no longer clings only to survival. Instead, it begins to connect new neural pathways, rewiring itself to think, feel, and behave differently. Science calls this neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself, to literally change its connections. And you are the architect of that change. With every session of meditation, you are laying down the blueprint for a new version of yourself. Meditation is not about escaping reality, it is about training the mind to create a new one. When you visualize during meditation, seeing yourself already healthy, abundant, loved, or free, your brain does not know the difference between what is imagined and what is real. It begins to fire the circuits of that new reality as if it were already happening. Combine that with the elevated emotions of joy, gratitude, or love, and suddenly your body begins to feel as if the future has already arrived. This powerful combination of mental rehearsal and emotional experience signals your genes in new ways, creates new chemistry in the body, and prepares you biologically for the reality you are creating. Over time, meditation moves you from survival mode to creation mode. In survival mode, your focus is narrow. You are constantly scanning for danger, living in stress, and reacting to problems. But in creation mode, your awareness expands. You see possibilities, you feel hope, you sense connection with something greater than yourself. The heart and brain begin to move into coherence, creating a flow of energy that is not scattered or fragmented, but whole and powerful. This coherence is measurable. Your heart rhythms smooth out, your brain waves synchronize, and your body enters harmony. It is in this state that people begin to experience profound transformation. Anxiety starts to dissolve because the mind is no longer addicted to fear. Depression begins to lift because the body is no longer chained to memories of the past. Even physical healing becomes possible because the body, no longer locked in stress chemistry, can finally repair and regenerate. People who meditate consistently report clearer thinking, more emotional stability, improved creativity, and even spontaneous moments of insight or intuition. They begin to sense that they are not separate from the world around them, but connected to an infinite field of intelligence that is always available to guide and support them. Meditation also teaches patience and presence. Instead of rushing through life, you begin to savor moments. Instead of being ruled by compulsive reactions, you cultivate deliberate responses. And in this way, your outer world begins to change, not because the circumstances suddenly shift, but because you have shifted, and the world mirrors back the new energy you radiate. Imagine the ripple effect if every day you dedicated even 15 or 20 minutes to meditation. Each session becomes a rehearsal for the life you want to live. Each session strengthens the neural pathways of empowerment, peace, and possibility. Over weeks and months, you become a different person, one who no longer lives as a victim of past conditioning, but as a conscious creator of the future. Meditation rewires the brain, reconditions the body, and reawakens the soul to its highest potential. It is not a luxury, not an accessory. It is the practice through which you claim your power to transform.